familiar with Thich Nhat Hanh, that he passed away Saturday, or like early Saturday morning for our time, which was actually like sometime Friday afternoon for us because he was in Vietnam. He is was a Vietnamese Zen master, Buddhist teacher, and brought the teaching so beautifully to the United States and then the world, of Buddhism in a way that is so applicable to our lives. And it's an engaged practice, so we practice it in our day-to-day routines. So he was one of my main teachers when I came to the practice of yoga and meditation at a difficult time in my life when I was 24, 25, and I had lost my mother. And wow, was I blessed to find the sangha, which is the community of practice, and the Dharma, which is the teachings, and the Buddha, which is the teacher. So we can think of that as the literal Buddha, but also just the position of the teacher. And many of us have, whether Buddhism has ever spoken to you or not, you can still take this idea of these teachings of the Buddha as the teachers in your life, right? The spiritual teachers, or just people who inspire you and kind of bring you back to the path that is a path of peace and feels, like it's nourishing you. And the Dharma, any teachings that align and resonate for you. And then just our sanghas, our communities, like here, Naturally Yoga has been such a community. And we were just talking about how some of you have moved away. Now I think there's at least 3 of you that I can think of who have moved away and still come to class, and we get to share our community. So I've been part of the sangha for over 25 years in this tradition, and have been blessed to be with Thich Nhat Hanh on retreat. And the teachings have been a big part of my life. So I just wanted to share some of his continuation with you, which you've already received from me, whether I've explicitly said it or not. And I was so blessed to be in Margie's class on Monday morning, where she had shared also some of Thay's teachings. And it's this idea that, couple things I want to speak about. Thay, I remember explicitly one Dharma talk in a retreat I was on, probably at Stonehill College, and he talked about sort of the lamp transmission, how he was almost preparing us for his death. And this was a long time ago. But I think he did this work of preparing us for his death because he also lost his mother at a young age. And he writes so beautifully about it. I'm going to share that with you when you're in your restorative opening. And I feel like whenever we discover, maybe even when you discovered yoga or your meditation practice or whatever it was that drew you, when people share that, and when I've heard people share, it's usually it was a difficult time in my life. I was seeking something, right? Or even if for yoga, it's I wanted to get in shape, if it was the active yoga, or I wanted to just get more in touch with my body, right? So these things bring us to this kind of practice, and we seek a refuge there. So one of the mudras, if you want to, while I'm speaking, Hridaya Mudra is one of my favorites, holding your right hand over your heart center and your left hand on top. And you can sit on a blanket or a bolster to make yourself comfortable. And you can even sit against the wall, because it's a good idea to have your hips raised a little higher than your knees so that you feel kind of comfortable in your seated posture. So Hridaya Mudra is for seeking refuge, seeking divine refuge. So when we're in need of comfort, right, we can hold this mudra. Or when we just, if you're taking it now, you feel that beautiful holding of your heart center. It just feels so calming. It feels, and right now this area, which is the thymus gland, is under there, which is part of your immune system. It feels tender right now for some reason. We tend to carry some stress there, so you can even sometimes massage there if that feels sore or tight. But helping to stimulate the thymus gland, the immune system, right here with this mudra. So seeking divine refuge, we do that when we're in a place of suffering. And so the reason I want to speak about the teachings today, and I talk about them every week, but just in light of Thay's death, there is definitely grief for those who love him and received his beautiful energy from, somebody was the other day, I apologize for not remembering, one of my students was just showing me when you see him walk, when he walks mindfully and takes one step on the earth so sweetly at a time. See if you can feel that energy right now in your body, just imagining, if you know Thay or just a being, even yourself, walking so sweetly, one step at a time on the earth. That brings you back into presence. So the other piece is, for me, the moon today. If you drove here or can see the moon wherever you might be, you know, I love when you can see the moon in the sunlight. That's like a healing element. That's like the sign of interbeing that you'll hear Thay speak about in the reading as well. And these are things that connect us to those we've lost. And so the thing is like Thay, as I was saying, you know, I think he has been preparing us to deal with grief for so long. And the teachings of Buddhism, the Four Noble Truths, there is suffering and there is an end to suffering. Those are the first two. That's it. That's the whole picture. There is suffering and there is an end to suffering. If we think that we should never suffer in life, we're going to suffer a lot more. And then the last two noble truths are, there is a path to suffering, right? The ways we get stuck or things that happen to us. And then there is a path to end our suffering. And that's a deeper teaching for another time. But some of these things is just realizing that when we lose someone, so whether Thay was a meaningful person for you or not, you can still do this work today with someone you've lost, but also looking at your own lifespan, and also just looking about your relationships with your friends and your communities, that you are connected to these people. And that your job, and so if you saw Cheryl's Dharma talk from yesterday, oh my goodness, where she talked about this dog at the veterinary office where her daughter works, and the love that was being given to this dog, right? That is what Thay has been inviting us. That's what I think all great spiritual practices and teachers invite us, is to shine our light of love on others, and to do that as often as we can and whenever we remember to. And now that you're holding your hands on your heart right now, who else do we remember to shine that light of love on? We need to remember to shine that light of love on ourselves. So with the grieving that we're feeling and the gratitude that I'll say I'm feeling, the grieving and the gratitude I'm feeling from the loss of my beloved teacher, for him not being here, but the gratitude that come hand in hand. I just love that they're both GR words. The grieving and the gratitude that come hand in hand. The gratitude for all the teachings he has passed on and the recordings that are still available for anyone who wants to receive his energy, his transmission of light. And someone shared with me yesterday, this even before I started talking about the Dharma, that I hadn't seen her in a while. She recently lost her dad. And it reminded me of when I lost my grandfather, because she talked about the sadness, but then she talked about being with family, being with community, and the comfort and the joy. She talked about almost feeling a little odd about feeling like good about, you know, that part, because you're in the grief. And one of the beautiful teachings that I've learned from Thich Nhat Hanh is holding both joy and pain in one moment. So whatever is present there, feeling that. And so I'm going to share a reading with you here, and then we're going to sing this song, No Coming, No Going. And the reading I'll share says a little bit more about what that meaning is. And it's really just about being interconnected with our friends, our family, our loved ones now, and with when someone who has gone. They're not really gone, and I know they're gone, we can't be with them. I feel that every day, that I can't be with my mom and talk to her and everything. So that's always a tough one for me, right? But then I can go back to this teaching. I just weave in and out of the suffering. Remember, it's the first two noble truths. We're always weaving in and out of those things. So allow for the conditions for happiness and healing that are around you to penetrate you and hold you in your suffering, because they're available in every moment, like the moon out there, or my dog next to me, or we just got succulents for my daughter's birthday, these little mini succulents, and they're so cute. Like, whatever plants or things nourish you, Receive that in your difficulty. And so the mudra, if you want to change your mudra for today, we're going to do Tejas mudra, which is the gesture of light. You can hold your heart if you care to. For Tejas mudra, you bring your palms together like Anjali mudra, and then you kind of open your index fingers into a little half circle and let your thumbs rest in between them. And then you let the rest of your fingers open out. And so as you look at that, so the element of the thumbs in mudras is fire. I learned this a long time ago in my very first yoga studio that I talked to you, just mentioned earlier. Fire. And so those two thumbs are the light, the candle. This is Tejas mudra, the mudra of light. And you see the aura of your index fingers just making that round orb for the light? Try to let your hands be soft so you're not like tense or trying to be an A+ student. Just be a C student. And then let the other fingers like open out. That's just the light radiating out from the aura, right? So if you're comfortable with that, just let your arms kind of rest, and you can hold that just in front of you. Let your hands be soft, and maybe close your eyes if you feel ready to do that, and just tune into your breath. Yeah, so whichever mudra you want, you can go back to holding your heart if this is not comfortable for you. And so the gesture of light, Tejas mudra, for cultivating devotional love. So in the mudra book, they talk about bhakti, right? Our spiritual devotion, our profound love and longing for divine presence. And talking about like helping to deepen our concentration and our connection to those beings and those energies that give us refuge and that help us to feel our light. And Thich Nhat Hanh was definitely one of those for me. And I know that in our tradition here in yoga, sometimes we chant like the Gayatri mantra to the light, or Ang Sang Wahe Guru to remember the presence of God in every cell of our being, or we chant to Lakshmi or Ram or any of those names of the divine. So this is about strengthening that connection. So whatever it is that you take refuge in, that you feel a stream of light through, any teachers, God, this is just a time to connect to your breath and connect to that feeling of light in you and around you, holding you. And I'm going to start just reading the song of No Coming, No Going, which really helps us to deal with those we've lost, but also remembering those we're still in life with, whether we have a good relationship, a challenged relationship, or if we just can't be with them in person right now. These eyes are not me. I am not caught in these eyes. I am life without boundaries. I have never been born, and I have never died. Look at the ocean and the sky filled with stars, manifestations from my wondrous mind. Since before time I have been free. Birth and death are only doors through which we pass, sacred thresholds on our journey. Birth and death are a hide-and-seek game. So laugh with me, hold my hand, let us say goodbye to meet soon again. We meet today, we will meet tomorrow. We shall meet at the source every moment. We meet each other in all forms of life. So you're welcome to keep your mudra that you have while we chant, or you can bring your palms together to your heart center in Anjali mudra. We're going to sing No Coming, No Going 3 times. And then we're going to switch to Hum Me Hum, Tu Me Tum, Wahe Guru, which basically means I am you, you are me. Wahe Guru, yay. I get to be transformed from darkness to light. Yay, Wahe Guru. So take a moment. If there's a prayer or an intention you want to form for today, you're welcome to do that now. We'll seal any prayers or intentions with the sound of Om. Take a deep breath in. welcome to listen the first time or sing along when you get it. No coming, no going, no after, no before. I hold you close to me, I release you to be so free. Because I am in you, and you are in me. Because I am in you, and you are in me. Try this time. No coming, no going, no after, no before. I hold you close to me, I release you to be so free. Because I am in you, and you are in me. Because I am in you, and you are in me. One more time. No coming, no going, no after, no before. I hold you close to me, I release you to be so free. Because I am in you, and you are in me. Because I am in you, and you are in me. Hameham tumetum waheguru. Hameham tumetum waheguru. Hameham tumetum waheguru. Hameham tumetum waheguru. I am you, you are me. I am you, and you are me. Waheguru. 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 Hameham tumetum waheguru. Hameham tumetum waheguru. Hameham tumetum waheguru. Hameham tumetum waheguru. Breathe and feel. Maybe holding your heart. Feeling the connection to any beings living or no longer with you. Feeling their light through you. And all beings are human, they're light and shadow. So yes, they may have suffered or caused us to suffer too. But we can receive and benefit from the light. And even see our interconnectedness because of our own humanness with our light and shadow, and their humanness with their light and shadow. So when you're ready to move, go ahead and start to uncross your legs, maybe bounce out your knees, circle your ankles. You can roll your shoulders, whatever feels good just to kind of recover from sitting. And then I'm going to invite you, when you're ready, to come into your restorative posture. So you're going to, if you're comfortable getting 2 blocks from the prop closet in the back, you'll put 1 block under your breast line and the other block under your head, or you could even do that with a bolster. You could use a bolster. So maybe Margie can show for anybody who's not familiar with our posture. So it goes under your shoulder blades so that it feels really good under your shoulder blades. Yeah. Good. And then the other one under your head. And then you can either keep your legs extended, or you can bring the soles of your feet together and your knees wide in a Baddha Konasana shape. Maybe opening your arms and opening your palms upward in a posture of receiving. If you need to cover with a blanket, you can do that too. And then once you get settled in your position, just allowing yourself to release any physical tension from your body. So you can modify if you want to, but the second block goes under your breast line, your shoulder blades. So up a little higher, so it feels really solid under your shoulder blades, hips on the ground, and see if that feels good. Yep. And then if you want to turn your palms up, you can. If you need to cover with a blanket, make that head block as high or low as you want it to be. So releasing physical tension, releasing emotional tension, releasing mental tension. Just allowing yourself to be held so lovingly by Mother Earth, by our beloved community, by each other. And I want to share this reading to you while you're resting here and opening up from Thich Nhat Hanh's book titled Fear. And this passage is from the section on no coming, no going. Our greatest fear is that when we die, we will become nothing. Many of us believe our entire existence is limited to a particular period, our lifespan. We believe it begins when we are born, when out of being nothing, we become something, and it ends when we die and become nothing again. So we are filled with a fear of annihilation. But if we look deeply, we can have a very different understanding of our existence. We can see that birth and death are just notions. They're not real. The Buddha taught that there is no birth and no death. I just want to say for people maybe newer to me, if you have any other faith tradition, this reading does not take away your faith tradition. This is a secular teaching. So I hope you can just receive what's helpful from it. The Buddha taught that there is no birth and no death. Our belief that these ideas about birth and death are real creates a powerful illusion that causes us a great deal of suffering. When we understand that we can't be destroyed, we're liberated from fear. It's a huge relief. We can enjoy life and appreciate it in a new way. When I lost my mother, I suffered a lot. The day she died, I wrote in my journal, "The greatest misfortune of my life has happened." I grieved her death for more than a year. Then one night I was sleeping in my hermitage, a hut that lay behind a temple, halfway up a hill covered with tea plants in the highlands of Vietnam. I had a dream about my mother. I saw myself sitting with her, and we were having a wonderful talk. She looked young and beautiful with her hair flowing down around her shoulders. It was so pleasant to sit and talk to her as if she had never died. When I woke up, I had a very strong feeling that I had never lost my mother. The sense that my mother was still with me was very clear. I understood then that the idea of having lost my mother was just that, an idea. It was obvious in that moment that my mother was still alive in me and always would be. I opened the door and went inside. The entire hillside was bathed in moonlight. Walking slowly in that soft light through the rows of tea plants, I observed that my mother was indeed still with me. My mother was the moonlight caressing me as she had so often done, very gentle, very sweet. Every time my feet touched the earth, I knew my mother was there with me. I knew this body was not mine alone, but a living continuation of my mother and father, my grandparents and great-grandparents, and all of my ancestors. These feet I saw as my feet were actually our feet. Together, my mother and I were leaving footprints in the damp soil. From that moment on, the idea that I had lost my mother no longer existed. All I had to do was look at the palm of my hand, or feel the breeze on my face, or the earth under my feet, to remember that my mother is always with me, available at any time. When you lose a loved one, you suffer. But if you know how to look deeply, you have a chance to realize that his or her nature is truly the nature of no birth, no death. There is manifestation, and there is the cessation of manifestation in order to have another manifestation. You have to be alert to recognize the new manifestations of one person. But with practice and effort, you can do it. Pay attention to the world around you, to the leaves and the flowers, to the birds and the rain. If you can stop and look deeply, you will recognize your beloved manifesting again and again in many forms. You will release your fear and pain and again embrace the joy of life. So take some deep breaths here. And see if you want to start to gently move maybe your head a little side to side, or maybe change the position of your legs. Either bringing the soles of the feet together and the knees wide if you hadn't yet, or extending your legs if you need to, or even bending your knees and letting your feet rest on the mat. Just taking a little break there. And when you feel ready, after taking any gentle movement here, you can go ahead and remove the props from underneath you and come back down onto your back without your props. Always listening to your body. You do not need to follow my invitation.